Hi, my name is Adam. Today, I want to tell you a story about visiting a quiet place outside the city. It was Thursday afternoon. I was at home drinking tea and checking my phone. Then I got a message from my cousin, Khalid. He said, "Hey, Adam, we are going to the farmhouse tonight. Come with us." I smiled. I like going to quiet places like this. In Saudi Arabia, we call it istiraha. It's outside the city. There is space to sit, play, cook, and enjoy the evening. I called Khalid and asked who is going. He said just the cousins, me, Faisal, Nasar, and you. I said, what time? He said, after Maghrib prayer. It was 4 p.m., so I had time. I went to my room to pack my small bag. I took a t-shirt, pants, jacket, sandals, and phone charger. I also packed my prayer clothes and a small towel. Before Maghrib, Khalid came to pick me up in his old truck. I got in and we started driving. The sun was going down. On the way, we stopped at a small store. We bought water, chips, and bread. Khalid said we already have meat and rice at the place. I looked at the sky. It was turning orange. I was excited. It was going to be a nice evening outside the city. After 30 minutes of driving, we reached the farmhouse. The sun was already down. The air felt cool and fresh. The place was quiet. There were no tall buildings, no noise, just peace. Khalid opened the gate. We drove inside. There was a small house, a big yard, and a place to sit outside. The lights were on, and I saw Faisal and Nasar already there. They were sitting near a big table. I said, "Salam, boys." They all said, "Welcome, Adam." I took my bag and went inside the house. I put my things in the room and came back outside. We all sat together. Faisal said, "Let's make dinner. Who's hungry?" We laughed and said, "All of us." There was a small kitchen outside. Faisal and Nasar started to cook the meat. They put it on a metal grill. The fire was hot. The smell of the food filled the air. Khalid cut the tomatoes, onions, and bread. I made tea in a small kettle. We talked while cooking. We laughed about old stories. We watched the fire and listened to the meat sizzle. After 30 minutes, the food was ready. We sat on the floor around the tray. We ate with our hands: rice, meat, salad, and bread. It was hot, simple, and very tasty. I looked at the stars and said, "This is better than any restaurant." After dinner, we cleaned the table. We took the plates and cups to the kitchen. Then we brought tea and sat outside on the ground. The night was cool and the stars were very bright. Faisal said, "Let's play a game." Nasser said, "Which game?" Faisal said, "Let's play questions. If you don't answer, you lose." We all laughed and said, "Okay, let's play." Faisal started. He looked at Khalid and said, "What is your biggest fear?" Khalid smiled and said, "Easy. My biggest fear is losing my phone." We all laughed. Then it was my turn. Nasser asked me, "Would you live in the desert for 1 week with no phone?" I said, "No way!" They shouted, "Loser!" We laughed again. After the game, we made a small fire in the yard. Khalid brought dry wood. I used a lighter. The fire started slowly, then got bigger. We sat around it drinking tea. We talked about life, work, and funny stories. No phones, no noise, just us and the fire. Faisal told a story about a camping trip. Khalid told a joke about his teacher. We all laughed so hard we had tears in our eyes. The fire was warm. The sky was dark. The moment felt perfect. I looked around and thought, I wish every weekend could be like this. After some time, the fire got smaller. The tea was finished and we all felt sleepy. Faisal said, "Let's go inside and sleep. We have work tomorrow." We all agreed. We walked into the small house. There were 2 rooms and some mattresses on the floor. I took one and put it near the wall. Khalid turned off the lights. It was dark and quiet. I closed my eyes. The air was cool and the room was peaceful. I could still hear some crickets outside. After 10 minutes, I started to fall asleep. But suddenly, I heard something. Tsk, tsk. I opened my eyes. The sound was coming from the corner. I whispered, "Faisal, do you hear that?" He said, "Yes. What is that?" We turned on the light. We all sat up. Then Nasser pointed to the wall and said, "Look, there's a small lizard." We all laughed. Faisal said, "It's just a lizard, no problem." But Khalid stood up and said, "No way, I'm not sleeping with that thing here." He took a small broom and slowly walked to the wall. He tried to catch the lizard, but it ran under the fridge. We all shouted, "Yalla, catch it!" After 10 minutes, the lizard disappeared. We didn't find it. Khalid said, "Forget it, just sleep. If it comes back, it can sleep with us." We laughed, turned off the light, and tried to sleep again. I woke up at 7 in the morning. The sun was shining through the small window. I looked around. Everyone was still sleeping. The room was quiet. I got up slowly and went outside. The air was cool and fresh. I saw the yard. It was still a little wet from the night. I made tea on the small stove. After a few minutes, I sat near the fire pit and drank slowly. Then Khalid came outside. He stretched his arms and said, "Good morning." I said, "Morning. Did the lizard come back?" He laughed, "No, I think it went home too." One by one, the others woke up. We washed our faces and sat together. Faisal brought some bread, cheese, and eggs. We made a simple breakfast and ate outside. We talked about the night, the fire, and the lizard. Nasser said, "We need to come here again next month." I said, "Yes, it was fun." At 10 a.m., we started cleaning. We took the trash outside, washed the plates, and packed our bags. Then we locked the door, got into the car, and started driving. The road was quiet. We played soft music and didn't talk much. Everyone was a little tired. When we reached my house, I said, "Thanks for the trip, boys." Khalid said, "Next time you drive." I went inside, sat on my bed, and smiled. It was a short trip, but a great memory.